Hello everyone, welcome to next section of our video. So in this we'll be seeing about the relative layout. So I'll be basically discussing why a relative layout is used, what is a relative layout, and I'll be discussing about our app as well, because in our quiz app we are using a relative layout. So what are elements we are keeping this and why exactly we are using a relative layout instead of other layouts in the app. So this is a pic which I have shown over here. A relative layout looks like. So to understand it better, I'll explain it what exactly it does. So Android relative layout enables you to specify how the child views are positioned relative to each other. So by that it means the child view means any child elements. Like in this diagram you can see there are different elements. Suppose this is a text box, these are two buttons, then again we have a text box. So in relative layout the important feature is that you can place all the elements relative to each other. So the position of each view can be specified as relative to sibling elements or relative to the parent itself. So you can say a relative layout is very powerful utility for designing an user interface, because it can enable or it can eliminate the nested view groups and keep your layout hierarchical flat, which improves the performance. So for all these purposes, suppose we have an app where we need three buttons to be positioned in different ways. We have a text box, then again we need some buttons, again we need some text box. So these are the elements which are relative to each other, and position those all elements relative to each other. So a relative layout is a good option to go about. As we have seen in the linear layout, we have a constraint. Suppose we are using a linear layout horizontal, so we can place the elements or the buttons only horizontally and they cannot be placed in any other positions. Same for linear layout vertical as well, we can place them vertically but we cannot place them relative to each other in the app. So in real world scenario where your app require all these different elements, a text box, a radio button, a check box, anything, and that has to be played relative to each other, the relative layout is the best option to go about. Now we'll see what are the different parameters which are used in relative layout and why we are using those parameters. So you already understood that the relative layout allows us to position the elements relative to the layout itself and also relative to each element that is present inside the relative layout. So we will just see some of the parameters which are used in the relative layout. Maybe I'll go back to the studio, Android Studio, and show you over there. So this is a example of our same app, quiz app, where we are using a relative layout. So before going over here, we'll understand some of the parameters which a relative layout uses. So suppose you can see what are the different layout properties which are available for a relative layout. So we'll go to the text view. We can see over here, apart from some other properties which we've already seen in the linear layout like Android ID, width, layout height, we have already discussed this in the linear layout. These are same in relative, but apart from that we have some extra properties as well. So these are the properties. So you can see this one, the Android layout align parent bottom equals to true. What does this means? This means that it allows you to make the top edge of the view match to the top edge of the parent. So if I go to the design view, you'll understand it better. So this is, as you can see, it's a button. So this is the button. So when you keep this as allow this one, layout align parent bottom equals to true, so it matches this one, the size of this button, as per the height or the top width of the parent element, that is this complete layout. So for that condition you have to make it true, so it matches those things. Next is the align parent left, align parent start. So this matches like right off or left off position is that the position of the left edge of the view to the right of the view is specified with a resource ID. So you can see over here where you want to align this one. So in any case of or in any mobile, when you use this app, the alignment will be as per the app's Android device size. So it will align it as per the width of the complete layout to the left or right. So you can align this button because these properties are put over here in the button. So this button aligns itself as per the width, from the top, from the bottom, from the left, from the right. So all this has been mentioned over here. It has to be true. So it aligns itself as per the width and height of this outer parent layout. So this is the most important benefit of this relative layout. You can alter or this thing as per your requirement. Next thing is that there are a lot of ways you can customize the buttons in your app. Like we will be positioning, we can see over here, we'll be positioning the button and make changes to its position by holding the mouse button down and holding it to the bottom of the screen. And so I'll just do it over here. If I keep the button over here, you can see, and we'll just see in the layout in the design view, and then the text of the button is represented by the, we'll see in the text view what has happened to our button. So one most important thing is that if you see here in the text view, what happens, the layout in design view of the app, the text of the button, whatever you want to write, that is the text is mentioned by a text view, and whatever is the button is always represented by a button view. So this you have to mention it over here. So if I go, so you can see in the text view, in this XML file, in the text view, my text will be mentioned over here. This is the ID for the text view 1. So here my fruit's name will come over, and in the button this text has been put, click fruit's name. So this is the button. So you can change this as well. If I put over here as hello, so it will change the options for me over here. So hello world, and so you can see the button has changed. We can go to the text view and see here the option for the button has already changed. So this is how you make the changes. So the button is basically represented by the button view and the text area by a text view. We'll just see the text area once more, where our text area is. So here if I put the button, so you can see this is your text area. This is, if you can see this one, this is your text area, basically this one, this complete area. So this is your text area, and we can see over here the, if you want to see it in the text view. So the button class, as you can see, with all its properties on the right hand side, like we already have for button. If I go over here, so these are the different properties the button is using. Its ID, so ID is button 1. So this ID has been used to represent this button, and wherever in your activity file or the Java file this button has to be referenced, you have to use this ID. So this is the ID from the right side, as you can see, this is the ID. And if you go to the text view of this button, you can see over here in the Android ID field we have put as button 1. Next is its layout width and layout height. So layout width, you can see it matches the parent. So this complete parent, it will match the parent, and the wrap content, the height is as per the height of this layout. So this is how it is mentioned. So the button class, you can say, in the Android is known as the subclass of the text view class. So it is the subclass of the text view class, and subclass, as we all know in Java, helps to use the same code or make changes in the same way for both the text views and the button views. So we can do any kind of changes we want over here, or add any new parameters over here. As you can see in the text Android button, I have taken a text color. So these are all properties. Text size, so this all you can alter and change it as per your requirement, and see the changes over here. So this is about a relative layout, why it is used. In the next section of our video, I'll specifically tell you about the relative layout in our app and some more parameters which we are using in the app. So thank you, and let's see you in the next section.